Olympic champion.
So how long does that fight last?
Listen, my opinion, it's 1 round.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
You make of that?
Anthony, by murder.
By murder?
Yes.
Golly.
Might knock his head off a little bit. Like, it might be special effect, but it might, like, go out.
Like legit?
Yeah.
Boxing legends share their predictions for the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Usyk explains that this fight will stay inside 1 round because he has already faced Joshua twice, and he fully understands the force Joshua carries. Usyk believes this event is mainly about money, and nothing here brings real value to the sport. He feels Joshua needs only one clear moment to show the huge difference in power. For Usyk, this is not a competitive contest, but a quick outcome, and he sees Jake stepping into a situation far beyond his experience.
Some people complaining about AJ taking that fight. Obviously, it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Do you see something wrong with AJ taking that fight?
This is just a lot of money. It's just a show.
Right.
This is not interesting sport because, guys, brothers, Anthony, it's Olympic champion.
Right.
Jake, it's just sportsman. Yeah, YouTuber. Jake do a lot of work. Special coach, special food, a lot of exercise, new.
Yes.
But this is guy don't have a mother fights.
Right.
Never
Right.
a mother fights. Maybe them wrestling, now professional, but Joshua, Anthony Joshua, it's Olympic champion.
So how long does that fight last?
Listen, my opinion, it's 1 round. Because Anthony, twice, my fight twice. Jab,
Very hard.
yeah, look, you know? This is,
And still from his
this
fight.
is jab.
Tyson Fury takes a very different approach, offering one of the boldest predictions in the discussion. Fury declares that Jake Paul will knock out Joshua, a statement that shocks many because it contradicts the majority of expert opinions. Fury argues that Jake is physically growing, training with heavier weights, and transforming himself into a more solid fighter. He sees Jake's progression as impressive and believes that momentum sometimes plays a greater role than experience. Fury has always enjoyed delivering unexpected statements, but in this case, he insists that Jake's confidence and current rise could lead to a result almost no one anticipates. He views Jake not as a simple internet personality, but as a fighter who has dedicated himself to serious preparation. Fury's prediction remains controversial, yet it adds another dimension to the discussion because it comes from someone who understands heavyweight boxing better than almost anyone in the world.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky.
Teddy Atlas approaches the matchup from a strategic viewpoint rather than excitement or fan pressure. He acknowledges the massive strengths Joshua brings, but also points out that Jake Paul is not entering this fight empty-handed. Atlas notes that Jake has youth on his side, and younger athletes often recover faster, move with more confidence, and are willing to take risks that older fighters might not. He also highlights that Jake's footwork has improved significantly, giving him the ability to move in ways that could make Joshua uncomfortable if he underestimates the movement. According to Atlas, every fight has two sides, and this one is no different. Joshua has size, technical history, and championship experience, but Jake carries certain tools that cannot be ignored. In the extension of his analysis, Atlas goes deeper into how Jake's mindset might serve him. Jake is still early in his career, which means he fights with hunger and has not suffered the mental wear that many long-term professionals deal with. Atlas acknowledges that Joshua traditionally fights best when he controls distance, but Jake's quicker feet and willingness to jump into exchanges could create small windows of opportunity. Those windows might not be big, but they exist, and Atlas believes that this possibility alone means Jake cannot be dismissed entirely. His message is not that Jake will win, but that Jake has enough advantages to be taken seriously.
While we look at all the advantages that Joshua has, let's look at how I look at where maybe Paul has some advantages. He's younger. His feet are a little faster. I know he's not at that level of a fighter. I get it. But his feet are faster. Joshua's feet are not that fast, closing gaps, getting to somebody. To hit him, even if you're better than him, you still got to get to him to hit him. Also, Joshua, last time he fought was over a year. He hasn't fought. He was basically retired. Where's his mind at? He got knocked out terribly by Dubois. Where's his confidence? Where's his mindset? Where is he? Is he taking this fight the way that fans are, overlooking Paul, taking him for granted? Yeah, it probably is. Might be. Does that weigh in? Yeah, that weighs in. People don't look at those parts of it. And the weight. Paul's smart. He always puts clauses in there. I know this is the first time he's fighting a guy who's bigger than him and all that stuff, but he put in a 245-pound weight, clause where he can't come in over 245. What is Joshua weighing? He was off over a year. He was basically retired. Was he 280? Was he 290? Was he 275? Easily could be the case. He didn't have a lot of time now to get to 245. How does that affect him? Oh, we forgot about that. It's a little thing, but it's not that little. It's a thing that Paul put there for a reason. Again, Paul hasn't made too many mistakes. He's been pretty damn smart. I'm not saying he's the fighter that Joshua is, but I don't know if Joshua's the fighter that Joshua was.
Lamont Roach speaks with a tone that reflects both respect for the sport and genuine concern for what could happen if Anthony Joshua fights Jake Paul with serious intent. He does not see this matchup as a balanced contest because Joshua's natural strength and technical experience create a level of danger that Jake has never encountered. Roach points out that Joshua does not even need to throw combinations at full aggression for the outcome to be severe. A single committed strike from Joshua could change everything in a moment, especially considering the difference in size and professional background. He stresses that the heavyweight power Joshua carries is not something an influencer-turned-fighter can absorb safely, and the gap between their physical levels could place Jake in genuine trouble.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, I think Jake is setting himself up for, a huge spectacle, and which is, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest, like the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to, other guys who are boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat him. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's, I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be a lot of viewers.
Andrew Tate keeps his message simple and direct as he reacts to the matchup. He states that Jake has stepped into an extremely big moment and deserves respect for doing so. Tate appreciates the level of risk Jake is taking and acknowledges that most people would never enter a ring with someone as powerful and experienced as Joshua. For Tate, the result is secondary. What matters is that Jake is challenging himself against the best and showing a level of ambition very few fighters, influencer or not, would dare to show. Tate's reaction highlights courage rather than prediction, and he believes Jake's decision alone earns him admiration.
Nice. Just a couple more things before I let you go. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, your thoughts on this fight? And Mega One?
Yeah, huge respect to Jake. I mean, we all know what should happen on paper, but it's boxing. So huge respect to Jake. I have nothing but positive things to say about the guy.
Sean O'Malley, a professional mixed martial artist and bantamweight fighter in the UFC. Ahead of the December 19th main event in South Florida, O'Malley expressed genuine concern for his friend Jake Paul. Speaking on the Bro Malley show, he admitted that facing Anthony Joshua is terrifying. O'Malley stressed that getting knocked out by a fighter of Joshua's caliber can have life-altering consequences, not just career setbacks. He called Jake's willingness to step into the ring against such a powerful heavyweight absolutely insane, emphasizing the real danger and risk involved in the fight.
And Sean O'Malley is scared for Jake Paul. All right, great. You know what? Thank you, Sean. And now that's now my phrase. I'm going to steal that from you from this moment. I'm going to use it going forward because I didn't know how to describe my feeling about this fight, but I just got it. I'm glad I thought of it right after I read Sean O'Malley said it. Sean went on to say, there's certain punches, there's certain knockouts, there's certain concussions, there's certain ass whippings, there's certain beatings that are not equal to others. They're the kind of knockouts, of punches, of concussions, of ass whippings, and of beatings that change your life. They change lives. And O'Malley didn't elaborate on what that meant. But I know what he meant. I know what he meant. There is a confidence that a person has. From the guy that walks down the street, the most confident, he walks in the room and he's the man and he gets to live his life feeling that way and people will treat him that way. All the way down to the coward who walks his wife like he's weak, who handles everything sheepishly. The one thing those two guys have in common is that neither of them actually knows where they stand. Neither of them has actually tested that theory. They got all the rest of society to go along with it. Therefore, they don't have to test the theory.
Sonnen gives a more structured explanation of why he believes the matchup is heavily stacked in Joshua's favor. He lists size, power, height, weight, reach, and years of professional experience as the overwhelming advantages Joshua possesses. Sonnen states that Jake has improved a lot, but there is no comparison between Jake's opponents so far and the level Joshua has faced throughout his career. He emphasizes that everything in this fight, from physical attributes to mental preparation, tilts toward Joshua. Sonnen's analysis removes emotion completely and focuses on raw facts, showing the extreme imbalance between the two fighters.
Trick in the bar, the Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. Now really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing. It is in wrestling.
Chris Algieri takes a methodical approach rooted in his understanding of how Joshua usually performs. He explains that Joshua has a track record of fighting according to the threat level in front of him. When the opponent is dangerous, Joshua stays calculated. When the opponent is less experienced or physically smaller, Joshua delivers exactly the kind of dominant performance fans expect. Algieri believes that this pattern applies strongly to the Jake Paul matchup. In his view, Joshua is unlikely to take unnecessary risks, but when he decides to press forward, he normally finishes the job with power and precision. Algieri stresses that fans should not be confused. Joshua has always responded appropriately to mismatches, and he expects that trend to continue. As Algieri continues, he notes that this consistency makes Joshua predictable in the best possible way.
Damages his reputation as an elite heavyweight. Do you understand the analogy I'm getting to, Chris?
Yeah, and I agree. And but listen, Joshua's done this already. He fought a guy that he was supposed to destroy,
right?
And then he went out there and he destroyed him. And he didn't play with his food. Yep. He didn't say, okay, it was Ngannou I'm talking about, obviously.
Of course.
Who gave Tyson Fury fits and really had everyone questioning Tyson Fury's ability because he struggled with an MMA fighter in his pro boxing debut. Anthony Joshua didn't do that. He went out there and did what we all expected Tyson Fury to do, and completely wiped the floor with the guy. And if Joshua doesn't do that this fight, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's going to hurt his stock. It's going to hurt the way that people perceive him moving forward. And also, I think, honestly, and if he doesn't go out there and just lay into Jake Paul and end it in the first, if not second round, to me, it's gonna look fishy to me. It's gonna look like this was a setup. This was an exhibition. This wasn't a real fight. If this is a real fight, it should be over in 90 seconds because Anthony Joshua is a legit gold medalist, super heavyweight, crazy athlete, awesome power, and Jake Paul just isn't on that level in any way. And he's not and he's undersized. You know, Jake Paul was fighting a cruiserweight in his last fight. He was under 200 pounds. You know, Joshua is a legit 250 pounds with abs, and the guy punches with the right hand like a cannon.
The one advantage Jake Paul has had in previous fights, and we all know people who have worked with him, and they go, he's got natural power. He can hit pretty well for his size. Not elite, right? Not world championship, but he can hit pretty well for his size. Paulie, that one advantage that he's had in previous fights is completely gone in this one. Yes or no?
Yeah. Dave Allen approaches the situation from a grounded, practical angle. Instead of hype or emotion, he looks directly at Jake Paul's fight history. Allen explains that Jake has often faced opponents who did not pressure him with real heavyweight power or volume. This allowed Jake to fight calmly, control distance, and manage exchanges without being pushed into panic. Allen warns that Joshua will not give Jake the same controlled environment. If Joshua attacks with even half the intensity he uses against genuine heavyweight rivals, the fight could look completely different from anything Jake has experienced.
But he couldn't beat Tommy. Could he win the area lightweight title? I'm not sure. Don't know who the champion is. If I had a look, I could tell you, but I'm not sure. He then boxes Nate Diaz. So he's boxed one boxer so far, if we keep in count, and he's beat none. Then he boxes Andre August, who I believe was a pro, and this is now at 14-3, so he's now actually a cruiserweight. Andre August, I'm not sure. Ryan Borland, 17-2. Again, I'm not sure. But fair play, he's beat two boxers here. Beat two boxers, what can I say? He then fights Mike Perry, who is an MMA fighter, bare knuckle boxer. He's not a glove boxer. He then fights Mike Tyson, which was an exhibition, weren't it, really, for all intents and purposes.
Barry McGuigan offers one of the strongest reactions in the entire debate. He believes the fight carries a level of danger that many fans, especially younger ones, do not fully appreciate. Having spent decades around high-level punchers, McGuigan knows how drastically a fight can shift when a real heavyweight lands a clean punch. He stresses that imagining Jake Paul standing across from Joshua should make any experienced boxing observer uneasy. McGuigan's comments are not meant to insult Jake, but to underline the raw physics involved in the sport. For him, this matchup highlights a risk that goes beyond spectacle and reminds everyone that boxing remains a brutally unforgiving discipline when two fighters with completely different levels of power share the ring.
Freak show, some people are saying, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So and some people are suggesting he might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing, unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says he's going to go easy on him, or he's not going to go flat out. But I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how, and under God, when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is several divisions below him, that's more like what Jake Paul does.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.